Ebere had always believed in love. Raised in a close-knit family in Nigeria, she grew up watching her parents share a bond that seemed unbreakable. They taught her that love and loyalty were the foundations of a happy life. It was from her family that Ebere developed her vision of a future built on trust, love, and respect. Her father would always tell her, "Find someone who respects you, someone who keeps their promises." That is the foundation of a strong family. When Ebere met David in university, she felt as though fate had brought them together. David was charming, intelligent, and ambitious. He quickly won her heart with his warm smile and his deep, thoughtful conversations. They shared similar values, and over time, their bond grew stronger. He talked about his future dreams, a promising career, and a life filled with happiness and security. Ebere felt certain he was the person she could build a life with. After a year of dating, David proposed. For Ebere, it was a dream come true. She felt like the luckiest woman in the world, having found someone who shared her vision for a future filled with mutual respect and love. They excitedly told their families, exchanged gifts, and began planning for a life together. David painted vivid pictures of their future, talking about buying a house, building a family, and achieving success side by side. He was confident in his career plans, and Ebere admired his ambition. They even picked out a modest house they both liked and agreed it would be their home once they were married. Ebere was deeply invested in the relationship, both emotionally and financially. She had always been careful with money, saving her earnings to support her future goals. However, believing she was building a future with David, she started putting her savings toward their shared goals. She even lent him money at times to support his career ambitions, convinced that she was contributing to their future as a couple. Months passed, and they finally set a wedding date. Ebere was thrilled, eagerly telling her friends and family about their plans. Her family admired her commitment and the sacrifices she was making to help David during tough times. Ebere had always dreamed of a grand wedding, but in light of David's financial situation, she opted for a modest ceremony. She believed their love would make up for any extravagance they couldn't afford, that their love was worth any sacrifice. But as the wedding day drew closer, Ebere noticed a change in David. He became distant, often distracted during their conversations. Concerned, she approached him, gently asking if something was wrong. David assured her everything was fine, attributing his behavior to work stress. He claimed he was just overwhelmed with responsibilities and promised her that he still looked forward to their future together. Wanting to be supportive, Ebere trusted his words and did her best to alleviate his burdens, often sending encouraging messages and offering to help in any way she could. Then, just a few weeks before the wedding, Ebere's world came crashing down. David suddenly called off the wedding, saying he wasn't ready for marriage. He claimed that he needed to focus on his career and that he couldn't commit to a marriage at that point in his life. Ebere was devastated. She pleaded with him, hoping he would change his mind, but David's decision was final. Her dreams of a future together felt like they had shattered overnight. Her heartbreak deepened when she found out that, shortly after canceling their wedding, Dovey had become engaged to another woman. The news came as a shock, and her sadness quickly turned to anger. It felt like a betrayal beyond words. She felt deceived and used, realizing that David had likely misled her for some time. Her pain was indescribable, and she knew she couldn't let this injustice pass without consequence. Determined to seek justice, Ebere sought the help of a lawyer, hoping that she could hold David accountable for his betrayal. She explained everything in detail to her lawyer, from the promises David had made to her sacrifices and her emotional suffering. The lawyer explained that under Nigerian law, Ebere had a potential claim for a breach of promise to marry. In Nigeria, such a case could be pursued as a civil claim for damages, recognizing the financial and emotional losses suffered due to a broken engagement. Ebere felt empowered, hoping her case might set an example for others. Her lawsuit quickly gained attention, drawing public interest due to its unique nature and the legal questions it raised. Some people supported Ebere, praising her courage to stand up for herself, while others criticized her decision, claiming that matters of the heart shouldn't be dealt with in court. But Ebere remained resolute. For her, this was about justice, about standing up for herself and anyone else who might suffer similarly in the future. As the trial began, Ebere took the stand, recounting her journey with David and the pain she endured from his betrayal. She described the dreams they had shared, the promises he had made, and the sacrifices she had willingly undertaken to support their future. Her words painted a vivid picture of a woman who had invested her whole heart, only to be cruelly deceived. Her voice trembled, but she remained composed, determined to tell her story honestly. It was David's turn to testify in court, and he said he valued his relationship with Ebere, but over time, he realized they were no longer aligned in their goals. Meeting someone else made this clear. He regretted the hurt his actions have caused her. David's lawyer argued that emotional distress alone was insufficient grounds for compensation, attempting to downplay Ebere's suffering as something intangible. But Ebere's lawyer stood firm, arguing that the case was about more than just broken dreams. It was about accountability. David had made concrete promises to Ebere, promises that led her to make significant sacrifices. The courtroom listened closely as Ebere's lawyer outlined the elements of her case, pointing to Nigerian legal precedents that recognize claims for a breach of promise to marry as valid civil claims. Throughout the trial, friends and family rallied around Ebere, attending each session and offering her emotional support. Her community admired her strength, with many sharing their own stories of heartbreak and betrayal. Ebere felt the support deeply, realizing that her case had become a symbol of hope for others who had been mistreated in their relationships. She knew her battle was no longer just for herself, it was a fight for justice on behalf of others who had suffered in silence. As the trial continued, Ebere's story began sparking broader discussions in the media and among the public. People questioned the responsibilities that came with making promises in relationships and whether a broken promise should have consequences. Some legal scholars and social commentators voiced their support, calling for a society that values integrity in relationships. Ebere's case had grown beyond the courtroom, it had become a societal debate on relationship ethics. Finally, after several weeks of emotional testimony and intense legal arguments, the court ruled in Ebere's favor. She was awarded damages, a recognition of the emotional and financial suffering she had endured. The judgment was a landmark decision, setting a precedent for similar cases in the future. Ebere felt vindicated, her sense of justice restored. She knew that her victory had brought validation not only to her own pain but also to the countless others who had been hurt by broken promises. Leaving the courtroom that day, Ebere felt a mixture of relief, satisfaction, and sadness. Her life would never be the same, and she was left to rebuild herself after this profound betrayal. But she felt a renewed sense of purpose. Her experience had changed her, instilling in her a desire to help others avoid the pain she had endured. She resolved to channel her pain into something meaningful, a mission to empower others to stand up for themselves. Lessons to learn. The story of Ebere and David reveals crucial legal and moral lessons. Legally, it underscores that a promise to marry is a binding contract under Nigerian law, with breaches leading to liabilities. Ebere's case highlights the need to document financial contributions in relationships to ensure accountability. The principle of reliance is vital, as actions taken based on promises are legally protected. It also demonstrates that the Nigerian legal system provides remedies for vulnerable individuals, setting a precedent for future cases and influencing legal reforms. Morally, the story emphasizes honesty and integrity in relationships. David's betrayal showcases the consequences of disregarding these values, while Ebere's resilience teaches the importance of turning setbacks into opportunities for growth. The need for accountability, respecting promises, and financial independence in relationships are key takeaways. Thank you for watching this episode of Legal Guide TV Stories. We hope you found Ebere's journey inspiring and insightful. Don't forget to like, share, and comment your thoughts below. For more captivating legal stories that educate and empower, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to never miss an update. See you in the next story.